I got 5 reasons why Raider Nation, the NFL, anybody that wants to put a little bit of extra money in their pockets this year, I'm going to give you 5 reasons why Antonio Pierce is a great bet to win NFL Coach of the Year. I'm not saying that it's going to happen. I'm simply saying by the time you're done watching this video, if you got a few extra bucks in that pocket, I bet you, you're going to put it where your mouth is. So Raider Nation, I want you to spam AP down below to show some love to our head coach. I am so flippin' happy this upcoming season that we finally have a guy that I believe in, that the nation believes in, that we all believe in. AP might not do things the way that a lot of other people out there do them, but for people that actually follow the silver and black, he's doing the right things. So before I tell you what AP's odds are, I want to run through here all 32 coaches and just kind of break down who has the best and who has the worst chance to win the 2024 NFL Coach of the Year award. So last season, the Cleveland Browns head coach, Stefanski, ended up getting the win, I guess, in this department. But I know when you go through and you look at all these odds here for all the coaches on who has the best chance to win, sometimes it doesn't make sense to put the bet down on who has the best odds, but where you could potentially make the most money. Antonio Pierce right now at plus 2,500 odds to me is actually a very intriguing bet just simply because of all the attention that the Raiders, the AFC West, is going to get this year. And I'll kind of go through and I'll outline why all of y'all should take advantage of this bet right now. But I'm just saying, you could turn $100 into $2,500 if AP wins Coach of the Year. And realistically, the amount of Raider fans out there that are as confident in the Raiders as what they are, bottom line, I actually think it could be as simple as if the Raiders compete and if they somehow win the AFC West, bingo, bango, Antonio Pierce is Coach of the Year. So coming up here, I got 5 reasons why you should bet on AP and why it's a smart bet, right? Like, not every bet is a smart bet. I do think, though, this is a smart bet to make just because of what could potentially happen this upcoming season. And let's face it, nobody believes in the Raiders and nobody believes in AP, which that usually leads to Coach of the Year. Now, I know some of y'all are probably sweating about putting $100 down. I'm not sweating thanks to our awesome sponsor here, Mando. And I like summertime, but I hate sweating. You know what I love? Mando. And I love Mando because it is clinically proven to control odor for 72 hours. I kind of wish I had Mando when I went live for 26 straight hours when the Raiders fired the clown and Josh McDaniels. Luckily, we don't have a clown anymore. We got Antonio Pierce. I also love Mando because it's available in 4 cologne quality scents, which is bourbon leather, which personally is my favorite, Mount Fuji, Pro Sport, and Clover Woods. It's hot. And I've been trying to get into better shape because I got my bachelor party right around the corner in late July. We're a family here on the Raiders Report, and I'm not afraid to tell y'all that I've been running more. And luckily, Mando has really helped me out with reduced chafing. And I know that sometimes we talk about, things below the belt. I like to run. I try to run more. It helps me slim up here a little bit, especially when shows get a little bit crazy. But I am somebody that suffers from chafing, and when I have Mando full-body deodorant, a deodorant that I can literally use all over my body, from my ball fro down to my, toes, I like to be able to use it, but it has really helped me reduce my chafing, and it also helped me, continue to go out there and run. Mando Starter Pack is perfect for new customers. It comes with a solid stick of deodorant, cream, tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice. Think of it as like a mini body wash and deodorant wipes with free shipping. Luckily, I got free discount code to help you get hooked on my favorite smelling whole body deodorant on the market. New customers get $5 off a starter pack with our exclusive code. That equates to over 40% off your starter pack. So use code CHAT at shopmando.com. That's shopmando.com. Tell them that we sent you. Use code CHAT. Stop that chafing, enjoy the summertime, and smell great. Shout out to our sponsor, Mando. So here's why you should bet on Antonio Pierce. Here's why betting on Antonio Pierce to win NFL Coach of the Year is a smart bet. The Raiders have an elite defense, and if you're somebody that subscribes that elite defenses can win Super Bowls, if the Raiders go on a march this year, okay, and they put up the numbers similar to what they were able to put up last season, NFL teams and people that do the voting are going to take, and they're going to start looking. With Antonio Pierce and Patrick Graham, the Raiders allowed 16 points per game last season. That was number 1 in the NFL. The Raiders spent the second least amount of money on defense last offseason. Why? Because Josh McDaniels wanted to spend all of his money on the offense, an offense that stunk, and now this year they upgraded their defense. They go out, they add a Christian Wilkins, they re-sign Adam Butler, they re-sign John Jenkins, and they are building this defense to be a Super Bowl caliber defense. So if the Raiders go out and they have, again, an elite defense, a defense that's controlled by Antonio Pierce and Patrick Graham, if at the end of the season you're looking at a lot of these numbers and you go, well, guess what? That team runs with AP. That team relies on AP. And defense is one of the very, very first things they're going to look at. That's going to help him potentially win NFL Coach of the Year. Let's then look at what he did last season, right? Like, the McDaniels turnaround is a turnaround that you can't even really wrap your mind around. What Rich Bisaccia did was extremely impressive, helping the Raiders get to the playoffs after the whole John Gruden thing happened. But like the Raiders were also 5-2 when the whole Henry Ruggs situation happened, the whole John Gruden thing happened. The Raiders were lost with Josh McDaniels. They looked like a team that, let's face it, they were one of the worst teams in the NFL. You're getting blown out 30-12 by the Chicago Bears. Then you lose 26-14 to the Detroit Lions. This was a Raiders team that went 5-4 underneath Antonio Pierce. They went 5-4 with AP with a team that Josh McDaniels built, a team that Josh McDaniels invested everything on offense. Then they strip everything on offense, and you were still able to come away with some solid wins. The Raiders showed that they had heart. The Raiders were playing for Antonio Pierce. And imagine what this team's going to look like when you have an entire offseason with AP. An entire offseason of a head coach that at least kind of knows what they're doing. An entire offseason with a team that actually wants to play for their guy. So I want you guys right now to hit that subscribe button if you believe in Antonio Pierce. And don't get me wrong, I'm not sitting up here that everything that AP does, you have to sit here and, hey, let's go. But for the first time in a very long time, I feel like we are going into a season where the guy that's calling the shots is actually a smart dude. And if you believe in Antonio Pierce, I'm going to be fired up this season. Hit that subscribe button. Let's go to the next reason of why I actually think that AP is a smart choice here to bet on for NFL Coach of the Year. AFC West performance. And if you can win the AFC West, flat out, if the Raiders win the AFC West, I actually think Antonio Pierce is the top 3 choice to win NFL Coach of the Year. So let's look at what he did last season with a team built by Josh McDaniels. The Raiders were 3-1 in the AFC West. 3-1 in the AFC West with Antonio Pierce. They were also the last team to beat Kansas City. Now, I don't think that the Raiders are going to be able to beat Kansas City again if your quarterback doesn't complete a pass the final 3 quarters. But then again, it's like, hey, maybe that's even more important. The AFC West also is going to get a lot of attention this season. You got the Chiefs, the back-to-back Super Bowl champs. Can they go for a three-peat? And if you are the team that ends up winning the AFC West over a team that's about to go for a three-peat, that might get you Coach of the Year. But then also you got to outperform Sean Payton, somebody that's very well respected in the NFL. You got to go out and you got to outperform Jim Harbaugh, somebody who's very well respected. One of the things that's also very important for somebody to win NFL Coach of the Year is for you to get media attention. And with the amount of media attention that the AFC West is going to just control this season, and if all those other coaches get outdone by a guy by the name of Antonio Pierce, that's a smart bet to make. Let's go to the next one here. The Raiders, they're a well-coached football team. And, it's kind of laughed a lot when going into the season, I was one of the big people of I do think hiring Antonio Pierce is the right move to make. And a lot of people are like, oh, he doesn't have the resume. He's not this. He's not that. We also got to remember that every single coach in the NFL was once not the right hire. That at one point that their resume wasn't filled out. But you know what? When you do actually look at what AP was able to accomplish in just 9 games, it's pretty effing mind-blowing. And really, it's why he was the only choice that the Silver and Black could have made. The Raiders last season were the least penalized team in the NFL in 2023. The least penalized was 75, which I think might surprise a lot of Raider fans out there because everyone's like, the NFL hates us, the refs are always against us, and yeah, okay, let's play into that a little bit more. If the NFL hates us and they're already looking at us and the refs are out to get us, and yet we're still able to be the least penalized team in the NFL, don't you think Antonio Pierce deserves a little bit of extra credit for that? 2 out of the 9 games coached by AP, the Raiders had 0 penalties. 2 out of 9 games. They are just the 7th team since 1960 to have 2 games in the regular season with no penalties. AP did it in 9. So my point is, you've already seen this offseason players, coaches showing up to practices that they don't even have to show up to, showing up early in the morning at 6 a.m. with Max Crosby. It was reported that it was like 30-something players that didn't need to show up for like the early practices in May still ended up showing up anyway. Why? They're going out there, they're playing for AP in a very, very short amount of time. Pierce was able to show you that, guess what? He is the right man for the job. And then the final reason, it's probably the biggest reason, low expectations. Every time I see an NFL media person or whoever is like, this Raiders team, like most recently I saw one, the Raiders should tank this season. You know what? You can go after yourself, man. The low expectations is why also betting on Antonio Pierce is a smart one. The Silver and Black are projected to have 6.5 wins, and I've seen it be somewhere around 6.5. I've seen it up to about 7.5. I have not seen any odds makers out there project the Raiders to win more games than they won last season. They won 8 games with Josh McDaniels. They're going to win more than 8 games this upcoming season with Antonio Pierce. And the fact that there are low expectations, the fact that it's 6.5 wins, if the Raiders go out there and they compete and make the playoffs, guess what? The fact that they only have 2 primetime games shows you there's not a lot of expectations there. How many times have we heard they only have Aiden O'Connell, they only have Gardner Minshew? So if the Raiders in the AFC West, in a year that there's no expectations, in a year that if they can go out there and do kind of exactly what they did last season with Antonio Pierce, where you go 3-1 again, you can control the AFC West, you go out there, you beat the Chiefs, you have the best record in the AFC West while Antonio Pierce is doing this thing with bad quarterback play. I'm telling you what right now, Antonio Pierce is going to win NFL Coach of the Year. So if you made it this far in the video, I want you to hit that like button if you agree that Antonio Pierce is not only a great bet, but Antonio Pierce is a great coach. And I'm not sitting up here saying that he's going to win it. I'm simply saying that if you're a Raider fan and you believe that this is a football team that's going to win 10, 11, 12 games, that you absolutely should put your money where your mouth is. Because if that happens, if they win the AFC West, if they make a strong playoff berth, if they're getting all this extra attention because of all the other coaches that he's outperforming, that is a recipe for success. And that's why I did put money down on Antonio Pierce to win NFL Coach of the Year.